Okay, welcome back everybody. Today we have a very different video. It is the type of video that I am probably going to attempt to do more often, especially if there's a positive response to this one. I know I don't have a very large fan base, but yeah, maybe this will change that. I don't know. Who knows? Point is, today's video is about SOG knives, and particularly why I don't like SOG knives. Now, if you're watching me, chances are you probably know who the Cutlery Lover is. He's another YouTuber. I'm a huge fan of him. I always have been. I like his content. I like his style. He likes knives. I like knives. He smokes pipe. I smoke pipe. I smoke cigars. Like, I feel like we probably don't disagree on a whole lot. I don't know his political views. I don't care. While we're on the topic of political views, I will never discuss political views. As you all probably know, I'm an active duty Coast Guardsman. I will not be discussing the shutdown. I will not be discussing how I feel about it. And I will not be discussing, whether or not my life's falling apart because of it. But it isn't. I'm fine, perfectly comfortable. I saw it coming early, made plans, made provisions. I'm perfectly fine in case anyone's worried. It doesn't matter. But it's none of your business. Just, you do you, I'll do me. So, yes, the topic of today is the SOG Knife Company. Anyways, Cutlery Lover, him and I got into a mild argument. I would say mild discussion. It wasn't really an argument. It was a very brief conversation in the chat of one of his videos that he had mentioned. He had a SOG knife. He said he didn't know what SOG knife it was. He asked people to comment. Someone told him what it was. I don't remember what it was. And he let slip that the SOG stood for Special Operations Group, in case anyone was wondering, which I could not help myself. I had to inform him that SOG does not stand for Special Operations Group. It stands for Studies and Observations Group. And there's a reason for that, and I'll explain that later. I actually pulled up the Wikipedia page, and I will literally read this to you guys. And hopefully this will answer all the questions. I have not yet read this. I thought it'd be fun to do it raw with you guys. Hopefully it's accurate. I know it's not always accurate, and I am well versed in the subject, so I'll tell you where it's not accurate, and if it isn't, I will try to find supporting documentation to prove my point. I won't just say, oh, that's wrong. I'll try to find something to back me up. And if you guys think I'm wrong, go ahead and look it up yourself. But I assure you I'm not, trust me. That's not the point. So, anyways, that was the brief discussion. So I thought it'd be fun to have a video where I actually explain and tell you where SOG comes from. Now, in all fairness, him and I were not arguing the same point. We came to a very civil reasoning. I respect him. I don't know if he respects me or not. I don't think he even knows who the fuck I am. But that's not really the point. The end result was, I realized that he was talking about the origin of the name of the knife company, and I was talking about the origin of just straight up SOG SOG as in general. And I realized he's probably not wrong. The declassification of the origins of SOG, I don't believe came about till mid-2000s, and the SOG company's been around since, I want to say 86? Something like that. You guys can fact check me and let me know. I don't care. I care about the facts. I don't care if you fact check me. You're more than welcome to tell me I'm wrong. Just make sure you support it. I don't want anyone getting in the comments. I don't care if you do. I'm just going to ignore you. But if you just get in the comments and say, you're stupid, you're an asshole, you're an idiot, you're just dumb, it's not correct because you said it, blah, blah, blah. But if you go if you go to this website, which is supported by this and that, and they say this, which says you're wrong, then I'm going to be like, oh, okay, shit, well, I'll go look that up. And if I agree that that is, in fact, what that says, and I am, in fact, wrong, I'll make another video about how wrong I am. Wouldn't that be cool? This is Johnny Walker Black, for anyone who's wondering, and it's good. I mean, it's alright. No, I'm not washing down the whiskey. I actually was thirsty, and for some reason I thought the whiskey was going to quench my thirst, but it didn't. So, yes, let's get into the topic. So, here's what... Damn it, I did it again. Here's what SOG's website says. SOG's website says, our story begins in Vietnam, where members of a highly classified U.S. Special Ops unit known as MACV-SOG, they got that part right, carried a unique combat knife into the jungle on covert missions. Later that year, in 1986, that knife inspired a young designer named Spencer Frazier to found SOG Knives. His mission: to reproduce the original SOG Bowie knife and pay tribute to the Special Operations Unit that carried it. What begins as a single commemorative model soon became a full line of innovative tools, field-proven by U.S. Special Forces, even honored as the Navy SEALs' knife of choice. Today's SOG knives are carried with confidence into the most demanding situations, forged out of tradition, hardened in the field, honed for you. So whether you're protecting others or leading an epic hunting expedition, tracking one of life's everyday challenges, or racing your most extreme conditions yet, lead the way with SOG. Okay. Some talking points in here. Years later. Okay, I thought it said later that year. I misread it. Years later, that knife inspired Huriwa. Well, when they don't mention it here because obviously they've since found out that it was incorrect, but when he first announced his knife, the SOG knife, he said that SOG stood for Special Operations Group, which sounds a lot better to the respecting public than Studies and Observations Group, which he wouldn't have even known at the time is what they were actually called. So I have issues with this. They're claiming a lot, and honestly, SOG does not deliver. SOG does not deliver. They have never delivered. I don't know, I am in the military, so I don't want to speak ill of the military, but the people who select things for the military, they're not experts on the subject. They're not. They're not expert knife designers. They're not expert knife crafters. They have no clue what goes into constructing and manufacturing and creating a solid, sturdy product. SOG knives they're cheap steel and they're plastic. Honestly, that's what they are. Even the fixed blades are made from AUS-8 Japanese steel, which is not expensive steel, and their handles are made from polymer or glass reinforced nylon or Zytel, whatever the fuck they make it out of. It's not a sturdy material. That being said, just to prove my point, we carried K-bars for years. Literally years. K-bars. K-bars they're a great knife in concept, but they're great for killing things. They're good at that. They're exceptional at that. But they have no other application. If you try to use it for field use, you're going to break it because it's not a full tang. It's a little rod that goes through from blade, and then it's pinned onto the end piece, and with the leather in between. So it's really a weak knife. And if you try to baton with it, you'll most likely break it. It's not a very good knife for anything other than combat. And I suppose the same thing goes with SOG. If you had to pull your knife, if it's a SOG, and you had to use it in combat, it would most likely perform. How long it would perform, I won't speak to that, because the blade steel does not hold an edge like a good steel would. And honestly, you see that. A lot of military people are going away from SOG knives. I can't speak for everybody, but from what I've seen, a lot of people are moving the other direction. They're going to other knife companies. Unfortunately, one of those other knife companies that they like to go to is Gerber, and I have my own issues with Gerber for pretty much the same issues I have with SOG, and that is that you're paying for the name. You're paying for that name. And why do I have an issue with that? Because it's not even their fucking name. They have used the tagline for a really great group of American heroes, and they've used it to make a shitload of money for marketing, and I hate that. I hate that they've used these great Americans' sacrifice and they've turned it into a marketing prop to sell back to Americans a product that, in my opinion, does not measure up to its namesake. And I don't mean the knife, I mean the people. The original SOG MACV-SOG knife was constructed the same way that a K-bar is, so it probably, honestly, wasn't that great of a knife for anything but killing either. And I said that backwards, it's MACV-SOG. They don't fit the bill. I'm sorry, guys. It's not a good knife. This one in particular isn't a good knife. But SOG knives in general, I've handled dozens of SOG knives, and I've never handled one and thought, God, I gotta get this. Because it's just, they're not worth the money. They're not worth the money. I would never pay that much money for a knife like that. I just wouldn't. It's not worth it to me. Not when you're spending $77 for this. I know, because I just checked Blade HQ. 77 and some change. When you're spending about that, 80 to 90 on this guy, and this is a knife that you can take into combat, and it will, it'll cut, it'll kill, and it'll work. It'll work for you. And this isn't even the one I would take. Like, if I was going into combat, this is not the knife I would be bringing with me. I would take this, my Spyderco Manix 2 XL. This is the knife I would take. It's fast, it's sturdy, and it's utilitarian. It's got a great working edge, but it's still lethal. That's what I would take. I wouldn't take this piece of crap or some other SOG knife. They're not practical. You guys done looking at the Mauser page? What do you guys want to see? Let's see here. Cold now. Those are CZ knockoffs. CZ, there you go. It's a good CZ page right there. You guys can look at that. So, I'm going to tell you guys the real story of the SOG. Because we should be honoring these men. But I don't believe SOG Knives is doing that. I don't think, regardless of what they say, they're just making money off of it. I don't care if they're in good spirits either. I mean, they say that they're honoring them. To honor them. If you were doing something to honor them, if this was about honoring these men, or, well, let me look. Before I make that claim, let me see what exactly they said. Reported or a tribute. Okay, if it was really a tribute, or it's really to honor these men, then they would tell the right story. They would tell the real story and the right story. And they tell it often. Instead, they don't. They just lean on their military heritage, because the original SOG knife was designed and carried by the Special Operations Group. They rely on that military heritage, quote unquote, to sell knives to the public, and they use it like they say that they are carried by all these military people, which they were and have been, and probably some still are. Probably, I don't know. Wouldn't necessarily know for a fact, but I don't think they're still the quote-unquote official knife of the Navy SEALs. I'm pretty sure they've moved on. If there's any SEALs in the audience, you can correct me. But I didn't think they did. Anyways. But I'm not a Navy SEAL. I'm a Coastie. I don't know shit about the Navy SEALs. Point is, you would expect them to tell the story often, and the right story. Like, I would have a fucking booklet printed out with the whole story. They'd go in every damn box, because you know there's enough fucking room in here. You could put a small book in this thing. But like, it's all about the name, SOG. Designed by SOG. So, yeah. Anyways. So here's the original true story, I think. I will let you know as I read. Military Assistance Command, Vietnam, MACV. Studies and Observations Group, MACV-SOG, was a highly classified multi-service United States Special Operations unit which conducted covert, unconventional warfare operations prior to and during the Vietnam War. Military Assistance Command, Vietnam Studies and Observations Group, MACV-SOG. So this is the actual SOG emblem that was a patch that was made, and they actually wore it and carried it, and I think that's awesome. Never assigned an official crest or patch, SOG personnel accepted this unofficial self-designed insignia. See? Active 24 January 1964 through 1 May 1972. Country, United States. Type, joint conventional, unconventional, I cannot read, by the way. Joint Unconventional Warfare Task Force. Role, strategic, reconnaissance, covert operations, psychological warfare. Size, brigade plus. Garrison-HQ, Saigon. Detachments, Command and Control North, Command and Control Central, CCC, Command and Control South, CCS. Nicknames, SOG, MACV-SOG. Mascot, Old Blue. Engagements, Vietnam War, Gulf of Tonkin Incident, Operation Steel Tiger, Operation Hound, Tet Offensive, Operation Command Hunt, Operation Icarus, Operation Lamb Sun, 719, Operation Thailand, Eastern Offensive. Description, Presidential Unit Creation. Ooh. Okay, established on 24 January 1964, the unit conducted strategic reconnaissance missions in the Republic of Vietnam, South Vietnam, the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, North Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. Carried out the capture of enemy prisoners, rescued downed pilots, and conducted rescue operations to retrieve prisoners of war throughout Southeast Asia and conducted clandestine agent team activities and psychological operations. The unit participated in most of the significant campaigns of the Vietnam War, including the Gulf of Tonkin incident, which participated increased American involvement. Operation Steel Tiger, Operation Tiger Hound, the Tet Offensive, Operation Commando Hunt, the Cambodian Campaign, Operation Lam Son 1719, and the Eastern Offensive. The unit was formally disbanded and replaced with the Strategic Directorate Assistance Team 158 on May 1972. Wow. Foundation. The Studies and Observation Group, aka SOG MACV, or SOG, MACSOG, and SOG, and MACV-SOG, was a top-secret joint unconventional warfare task force created on 24 January by the Chiefs of Staff as a subsidiary command of the Military Assistance Command, Vietnam, or the MACV. The unit would eventually consist primarily of personnel from the United States Army Special Forces, the United States Navy SEALs, and the United States Air Force, the Central Intelligence Agency, and elements of the United States Marine Corps Force reconnaissance units. The Studies and Operations Group, as the unit was initially titled, was in fact controlled by the Special Assistance for Counterinsurgency. Counterterrorism wasn't even a thing at this point. Or I'm sure it was, but Counterinsurgency and Special Activities. SACSA. Wow. Military loves acronyms, just so everyone knows. Like, that's not in here, I'm saying that. Where was I? And his staff at the Pentagon. Okay. The arrangement was necessary since SOG needed some listing in the MACV table of organizations, and the fact that MACV's commander, General William Westerland, had no authority to conduct operations outside territorial South Vietnam, since command arrangements through SACSA also allowed tight control up to the presidential level of the scope and scale of this organization's operations. This mission of the organization was the mission of the organization operation was to execute an intensify program of harassment, division, political pressure, captured prisoners, physical destruction, acquisition of intelligence, generation of propaganda, and division of resources against the Democratic Republic of Vietnam. The mission of this organization. These operations, Opland 34 Alpha, were conducted in an effort to convince North Vietnam to cease its sponsorship of the communist insurgency in South Vietnam. Similar operations had originally been under the purview of the CIA and had carried out the emplacement of agent teams in North Vietnam using airdrops and over the beach insertion, dear God, under pressure from Secretary of Defense Robert S. McNamara. Program allowed, along with all other agencies, paramilitary operations was turned over to the military in the wake of the disastrous Bay of Pigs invasion operation in Cuba. So it did talk about it, but it didn't really get in deep on it as I would like it to have gone. But the reason they called it Studies and Observations Group was because they needed... it wasn't sanctioned. It was not... The guy who organized the whole thing had no authority to organize operations into those countries. It was technically illegal. So they called it MAC, the Studies and Observations Group, because that's what was being funded. The money they were using to fund this operation was legitimate military funding for the Studies and Observations Group, because they had to have something to tell the people, to tell the taxpayers, basically, that they were doing with their money. They said, we need money for this, and they're going, well, what is this? Well, it's the Studies and Observations Group. They do this stuff. They were supposed to be weathermen, basically. Which wasn't true. They were this organization. And there's a lot more. And I don't think you guys want me to try and ramble on. Like, I could read a lot. Patriots League. Okay. So, yeah. As you can see, like, I highly encourage you guys. This is good shit. Go. Oh God, excuse me. Go to their website and look at it. Don't go to their web. Go to Wikipedia. Go online. Look it up. There's a lot of like great stories. Like if I continue to read, I'm probably just gonna bore you guys. If I don't, I'm gonna freaking bore myself talking out loud because that's freaking annoying. So like I was saying, if SOG was really doing a tribute to these guys, this whole fucking thing should be on their website. This whole story should be on their website. They should have videos and stuff honoring these guys. Because, yeah, what they were doing was technically illegal. They did some pretty shady shit. And probably, it was probably wrong. There was probably a lot of really bad stuff that happened. It was a war. Shitty stuff happens in wars. There's nothing you can do about it. Whether it's right, whether it's wrong, it doesn't matter. Stuff happens in wars. And whether or not they should have been doing it, doesn't matter. They were following orders. The men who carried out these operations were following orders from their commanders. They were being good soldiers, good sailors, and good Marines. The point is, they deserve the honor, not necessarily the name or anything. And certainly not these guys. These knives. Oh. If they really wanted to honor or tribute these people, I don't think this piece of crap is how I would do it. And I would never, ever, ever name my knife company after somebody who fought and served and died or watched their brothers die and lived through it. Because I've never been through that. Obviously, I'm a Coast Guardsman. I've never been to war. But I've served with people who've been to war. I've served with former armies, former Marines. I've served with former Navy too. I used to have a guy before I joined up. He was teaching me and my buddy some self-defense stuff, and he was a Marine Force Recon sniper in Afghanistan. And he told very few stories, but he did tell some stories. I know some people. I've seen some not seen. I've heard about some shit that happens, and it's war. It happens. But if I was trying to honor those men, I would never name a knife company after it, because it doesn't matter how good I made my knives. I would never feel that it ever measured up to what they did. And that's why I don't really like SOG knives. I just really... It's marketing. It's marketing. They've taken something and they've used it as a marketing thing. It's like Christmas cards and Valentine's Day candy. Just like, They took something pure and honest and they turned it into money. So that's my 2 cents on the matter. That's why I don't like SOG knives. That's why this is the first and last SOG knife I will ever buy. I'm just not going to do it. I don't care how good a knife they make. I'll never buy another SOG knife. That's just my opinion, though. You guys can disagree with me. What do I know? I'm just a coasty nerd. I love knives. So, yeah. Before I go, a couple of shout outs. Obviously, shout out to Cutlery Lover. Love your stuff. I hope you watch this video. I don't know if you will, but if you do, mad respect, bro. Love your stuff. You have pretty informative videos, and some new stuff going on with me. I just got a new car. It's a Honda Fit 09, 5-speed manual transmission. Fucking love it. I got a holster for my CZP-07, and I also got a little Olight PL Mini. So that's fun. I love it. It's amazing. It's very bright. So, yeah. I think that's really just about it. Yeah. That's it. Like I said, any comments, questions, criticisms, just let me know. This book, by the way, it was a gift from my friend that I was mentioning before. And I thought it would be fun if instead of just me talking, there was something for you to look at. I probably should have thumbed through the pages a little more, but there you go. Ooh, I love this gun. I don't know. If you guys don't know what this is, no shame on you if you don't. It's very, it's an oddball. It's kind of rare. But if you don't, I encourage you to look it up. It's called the H&K P7. Its nickname was the Squeeze Cocker. They made subsequent models, the P8 and the P7 M8 and the P7 M13. And it was really cool. Squeeze cocking gas delayed blowback system. It was a lot of fun. I loved it. I've never handled one, never shot one. I want to. It's my dream. One of my dreams. Obviously, I want to shoot a Luger and stuff too, but yeah. But yeah, that's the dealio. I guess, yeah, later, everybody. Have fun today.